Hello, everybody. weebrabbit here, and welcome back to the Otaku Overload episode 4. At this point, we're starting to get pretty used to this. We're starting to enjoy this. We're starting to have fun, and hopefully, people are starting to notice. So that's my hope. I'm hoping that people are starting to listen to this and enjoying it. Good stuff. But yes, as always, I am here, and as always, with me is my co-host, the Legend of Jonathan. Say hello.
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm back. I'm very happy to be here.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
Uh, and yeah, I'm actually very happy to do this. Honestly, I'm excited for this episode.
All right, cool. Sounds good. All right, with that being said, you guys know the drill. We're going to start by talking about our weeks, then we'll do some news, then we'll talk about some sort of a theme or topic for the week. And we got a pretty good topic this time. I think that might be the reason Legend of Johnson's excited. Real quick, before we do start, though, I do want to say that not only are we on YouTube, which is like the main place where we're putting these up, because obviously people know us from YouTube, and they're probably watching us like on YouTube. But if you're a certain type of person that likes to listen to podcasts on the go or whatever, right now I believe this is on Spotify, and it's on a few of like the smaller ones, but like the bigger ones that I know this is on is Spotify, and I believe it's also on Apple Podcasts, which is pretty cool. So if you have either of those as your like music slash like app of choice for listening to podcasts or music on the go, then yeah, try to check us out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And yeah, try to check that out. That'd be kind of fun. See if people find us there. And like I said, we're on some smaller ones too, which maybe you can try to figure out. I'll try to figure out what they are later because I'm not really sure what they are. But for sure, the bigger ones are Spotify and Apple Podcast. Yeah, maybe you can check us out there if you're interested. With that being said, though, let's dive into our weeks. And I think before I was thinking maybe we could take turns of who starts first. But I kind of like starting with Legend of Jonathan and then going to me. So let's just stick to that. I think that's the way we'll do it from now on. So with that being said, Legend of Jonathan, take it away. What did you do this week?
I did something that I didn't do last week. I talked about it a bit with you, but I finally played a lot more of Sonic Frontiers.
Okay, cool. Nice.
I'm having a blast of it. It's like I agree with a lot of people that it's the best Sonic game so far. Dude, like the exploration is crazy. The moves that you can learn are pretty crazy. Like, oh my God, I love it. I love just getting.
What do you think of fighting like the really big creatures? It just
Oh
feels
my
really
God,
cool, huh?
it's so cool. But like for me, it's frustrating because of the weird stuff. But like, it's such a blast. Like I'm telling you, I love the game. I think it was like yesterday, where I was on a call with someone and I sat there on my Switch the whole time. And the person's like, are you like busy? And I'm like, yes, I am busy. And I just like kept playing
No,
because I was so immersed into the game.
Oh my God, that's funny.
And I'm telling you, I loved it. It was so fun.
Yeah. Honestly, the bad thing is after last week I played a lot. This week I didn't play as much, unfortunately, which kind of sucks.
Oh, that
I wish I
sucks.
had gone like further into it, but I was pretty ahead because I put in like a lot of hours that first week. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just agree that yeah, it's just so good. I just love the combat. I love the feeling of exploration, being able to run around all over the huge map and finding stuff. Yeah, it just feels really fun. It's like so weird because once again, it does not feel like a Sonic game, but it just like works somehow, right?
It feels it feels like for me personally, it does feel like a Sonic game. But I feel like it's the thing where people are like, oh, like these fan games, right? Like the ones where they're all awkward looking. It's like that, but like Sonic Team made it look really good and actually play well. It feels like Sonic the Hedgehog, like Wind of the Wild or Breath of the Wild. That's what it feels like. It literally is just
Yeah,
like that. It feels super good. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, that whole thing, because it really doesn't feel like a Sonic game, but it just fits so perfectly.
hmm did you ever find Big to do fishing?
No, unfortunately, I was just exploring
Ah,
so
see,
much.
that's one of the things. That's one of the things I did like somewhere in like the middle of my time. I haven't gone back to do the fishing because I just did like a lot of fishing all at once. The fishing's so simple, but it's kind of addicting too because like you just like throw the because what I noticed is I think per fishing spot gives like a certain number of times you can fish. I think.
Yeah.
And so I found one, and I think it allowed me to do like let's say 30, and I only did like 20 of them. but I just did like all 20 in a row, and I was finding so much stuff. And it was just like it's just really fun. Just like it's just really simple. The fishing's so simple, but it's like really cool to do, and it's just fun doing the fishing and seeing the random stuff that Sonic pulls out. Like I caught like a huge like marlin that's like bigger than Sonic. I
Damn.
caught it's some sort of mecha fish. I caught a frog that's like a poison frog. It reminded me of Froggy. I'm like, where's Froggy at anyway?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff. It was just really fun. I want to find more fishing spots as well as finish that one. But yeah, it's just so random too because like that if it's Sonic here with his friends and like the whole story is that they got lost in cyberspace and you're trying to save them. And I know there's just a fishing spot with Big. It's like, Big, what are you doing here? It's like, oh, I'm just fishing. It's like, okay.
Okay, buddy. I actually got lost.
Oh, did
So
you?
that's that's the thing. I'm like kind of lost. But honestly, like since it's a game where it's well, I mean, let's be honest, there really is no like time limit, like Majora's Mask or anything. I feel like I have all the patience in the world to beat it. So I'm like, no, like let me just like upgrade my moves. Let me just like go around attacking enemies. Let me try to look for the next level. Let me try to get extra stuff because it's a collective one. So I'm like, let me find the extra stuff real quick. So I just been trying, like I'm like taking advantage of everything to just have fun, basically.
Yeah, if you think about it, Breath of the Wild's a good comparison because it kind of feels like Breath of the Wild. You know how Breath of the Wild, you can do all the side missions, and you can do all the stuff to collect the hearts or the stamina orbs. You can like spend a bunch of time doing that.
Yeah, you can like do side quests mostly. Yeah,
that's kind of what this feels like, where you can totally focus on just collecting collectibles and upgrading your moves and killing enemies. Or there is like technically like a story mode where you do have to go and open the vaults and do like the Chaos Emeralds and stuff, and that's like the story stuff. But you don't technically have to do it if you don't want to. You can go and do all this other side mission and tackle that whenever you want. Like you said, there's not like a story time limit.
Like it doesn't force you. It doesn't like force you. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the equivalent of like the Breath of the Wild. You can do all these temples and do all these side missions and stuff, and you only really progress if you go to like the main story points. So
And that's what I've been enjoying.
So I want to bring up real quick because I was just thinking about as we are talking about it. The game isn't perfect. I will say that. I'm saying it for a specific reason. The game isn't perfect. It does have its issues. Obviously, there's some jank to it. Some of the I don't know how to explain it. It's not perfect. But something I do want to say, I don't even want to say the name of the person. I don't want him to get more like attention. But there is a famous YouTuber that it sucks as we've talked about him on the channel before. And we like his videos. A lot of his videos are funny, but sometimes he can be kind of an asshole where I do think the way he portrays some games, he does purposely.
Oh, yeah.
He does purposely try to portray them wrong. And I hate it because some people say, like, oh, but he's just joking. He's not supposed to be taken seriously. Which, once again, they're not wrong. That's what I hate, is that there's never, like, a right or wrong side. Like, there's a thing where each side has, like, some good, like, good argument. Because they're right. Like, the point is, you're not supposed to take him 100% seriously. A lot of stuff you can tell he is joking. You should form your own opinion. But at the same time, when you're out here making the videos like what he did for like what he did for the new Sonic game, and you're just talking trash, and you are purposely making the game look bad. That's the thing. I've been playing the game for so long, I have never gotten to a part where I run into the edge of the map. Like, if you're just playing normally, just exploring, there should be no reason that you like reach the end of the map where it's like, you reach the part where you're going to go out of bounds. And that's what he makes it seem like. He makes it seem like it's like this tiny sandbox that if you really explore, you'll get to the edge.
Honestly, the world feels pretty big.
Yeah, so I feel like you would not find those like outbound thingies, and you would not ruin the immersion of like, oh, this world is so small, unless you're purposely looking for it. And that's what pisses me off, that he does this with a few games where he'll purposely look for things that'll break it or make it look stupid, and he'll act like, oh, that's just the way the game is.
It's like, no, you just
have... And it's not. Like, if you're playing normally and just having fun and exploring, like, I've been playing for so long, and I've gone all over the map and all that stuff. I've never once ran into one of those barriers where it's like, oh, you can't progress yet. It's like locked behind, like story stuff or behind progression or something. Like if you're playing like just having fun, you shouldn't run into that stuff. I feel like if you run into that, it's because you're purposely looking to like mess up the game. Same thing with some stuff where he's like, oh, if you go talk to Amy, it's impossible to progress. You can't talk to her. But like if you check, someone even says you check the footage, he's purposely talking to her when he doesn't have any of the items to give her. Which
that's why I'm collecting them, because that's how
once again, if you're just playing normally, you're just collecting everything you see and just having like fun, running through rings and hearts and all sorts of stuff. Like easily every time you see Amy, you should have enough
to progress the story.
To progress and like talking to her. And you would purposely have to like be like looking for her without anything in your inventory, not collecting anything for like that to pop up. And that's the thing where like once again, like it pisses me off because like I like this guy's videos. And I get that in a way it's true. He is joking, probably, and you should form your own opinion. And obviously the game isn't perfect, so you shouldn't be like a weird, like, oh, I'm gonna defend Sonic, his honor and stuff. Like that stuff is stupid. But at the same time, it does piss me off when someone who has so much influence purposely makes the game look bad, even if it's a joke. And then because then a lot of people will be like, oh man, thanks. I was gonna try the game out, but after seeing your video, thanks for saving me the $60. And they don't form their own opinion. Or they'll go and they'll purposely review bomb the game because at the end of the video, it's implied he was basically saying go review bomb it. And then when that happens, he acts like, oh, that wasn't me. That's either people that are purposely review bombing it to make you like my fans look bad, or if it's my fans, hey, I didn't tell them to do it.
Yeah, that's so stupid. That's the thing, man. And
I'm saying I just wanted to bring that up because even though I'm really, really liking the game, I can admit it's not perfect. I can admit there is some stuff that's kind of janky about it.
Continue.
Yeah, I'm saying there's some stuff that's janky about it. There's some stuff that could be better. Some parts where maybe like it lags or all sorts of stuff that isn't great, right?
For me, it's like the controls, honestly, and the camera.
Yeah, for some people, maybe the controls take a bit to get used to, etc. But I don't know, it's still like a good game, and I still feel that Sonic Team did put some effort into it. So when I see people just hating and being like, oh, their Sonic Team just shoveling out some shit again, and if people like it, it's because they're like Sega stands or whatever. Like, no, there wouldn't be so many people enjoying it if that's the truth. Like, I hate that you like twist the truth to make it look like that. Like, no. Like, I just want to say that. It just pisses me off,
It really is annoying. That's the thing. And then, like, it's like dumb where, like, yeah, people, they don't have their own opinion. Like you said, it's like they go and they watch a video and they're like, yeah, this person's 100% right. And
like, they'll be like, oh, thanks for, like I said, like, oh, thanks for playing the game for me. I don't waste my time. I don't waste my money.
So dumb.
Or it'll be like, oh, it's what I thought all along.
Yeah, it's like a person where I think they're like a person I knew where their opinion, I think it was like Mario Kart 8 or something like that, and it was like some joke video. And even the guy at the beginning even said, he's like, I actually think the game's really great. And he's like, this is just like more of a joke and also like nostalgia. And it was like Mario Kart 8 compared to Wii. And he was talking shit about 8, like just jokingly, right? And then this person I knew, they believed his video. Yeah. And it was like, bruh.
And so they were just like forming their opinion just on the video, not even like bothering for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't even like get to play the actual games and be like, you know what? I agree with the guy. I played the game. Yeah. I prefer the older one. Like it was so like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Sometimes the internet discourse can be annoying, It's just, all right. But anyway, what was the other thing you did this week?
I always watch this every week, bruh. Urusei Yatsura.
Oh, really? That's surprising.
Yeah, that's surprising, huh? Okay.
Oh my god, you're stupid.
Right. This episode was pretty cool. I'm not gonna go into detail this time. What I liked is that they, like I said with the last one and the one before that they've been twisting it up again. I like how they've been twisted. They twist this one up a lot, where they kind of get straight to the point even more quicker. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And the episodes, yeah, they've been breezing pretty quick. And I like how they just get straight to the point. Like this one was really quick and there was no like filler basically.
No, no extra patty, no filler, no that stuff.
Or no humor where there's like extra characters or humor. The original. Like they went straight to the point. So
That's
it was
cool.
so that's what I liked where like I think like the original scene for like the opening in both like the manga and the original anime, it's like the mom tells Ataru's mom tells him, "Hey, I'm making takoyaki for dinner," and it's like a once in a year thing. Here, he just knows automatically because it's the once a year thing. He's like, "Oh boy, I can't wait for takoyaki" or something like that, and that's literally it. That's like the opening. Like it just gets straight to the point.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then other than Urusei Yatsura, I watched, oh boy. I can't mention it because I think we're going to talk about this later, but I
Oh,
watched
okay. Yeah.
another anime. I watched another anime, yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, we talked about this one. So yeah, basically, we'll mention it near the end. But yeah, it's you caught up on something, right? Is basically what you're trying to say.
I finished like the last 2 seasons, yeah.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, so that's it for you then.
hmm
All right, cool. So Urusei Yatsura, the anime that we're going to talk about later,
And Sonic
and you played a lot of
Frontiers,
Sonic Frontiers. All right, cool, cool,
yeah.
cool. All right then, nice, nice, nice. For me, my week, not only did I catch up on stuff I mentioned before, like Chainsaw Man, Spy Family, the Uzaki Chan wants to hang out.
Let's go.
I think those are the ones I've really mentioned that I've been watching every week. I'd said I wanted to watch this one for a while, and I finally like watched it and caught up. I'm like up to date with it. But I finally watched the new season of Bleach.
Let's go.
Bleach, the 1,000 Year Blood War. I think that's what it's called. 1,000 Year
That's what it's
Blood War.
called.
Yeah. And basically, so I watched, I think there's like 6 episodes out. So I watched 6 episodes. And so I watched that and I got caught up. And I like it. It's pretty cool. Basically, if you haven't watched Bleach, it's kind of hard to maybe explain because you don't really know who the characters are or like what the deal is. But basically, just to give you a crash course, Bleach, it's all about the gimmick for this anime is that there's a world of dead people, and all the souls of the dead people, they go to what's called like it's a parallel universe sort of thing, and it's called the Soul Society. And Soul Society has all the souls of the dead people. They're basically living. It feels kind of like I guess you can say kind of like feudal Japan, sort of. It's kind of like the past.
Oh, okay, that's
And
pretty cool.
yeah, and in this like society, the people who protect not only Soul Society, but they protect our world, like the real world, in case like bad monsters show up. They're called Shinigami, which comes from like the death gods, kind of like same thing from like
Death Note.
Death Note. Shinigami it just means like death god. And basically, they kind of look like these, like, samurai ninja people. And there's 13 squads, and each one has, its people, and they each have kind of like a theme going on. Like, there's one that has to do more with like research, one that has to do more with like being like tough, one that has to do more with like medical stuff, et cetera, stuff like that. But there's 13 squads. Each one has a leader, it has a captain, it has a lieutenant, and then it has, it's different members. They're like, ranked. And basically, the way that this anime starts, like, I'm just trying to give a crash course. So in this world with the Shinigami, there's ghosts in our world, and there's good ghosts and bad ghosts. And the bad ghosts are called hollows. And basically, our protagonist, his name is Ichigo Kurosaki. He's a 15-year-old, even though he's always looking like a 17-year-old. I don't know why they just make him 17, but that aside, he's a 15-year-old. He has orange hair. People make fun of him for it. His mom's dead when the series starts, and he's always had the ability to see ghosts. And so it starts like he's always had the ability to see ghosts. So he's always kind of trying to protect ghosts if he sees them. So stuff like their graves and stuff aren't, defaced. And he's kind of a bit of a delinquent, kind of a punk. So he always gets into a lot of fights and stuff. And basically it starts where this Shinigami named Rukia, she is on patrol in his town. And she's doing some training. And there is a hollow that attacks her. And Ichigo, he can see her because he has like those powers, and she's surprised that he can see her. She's about to I guess die because this thing like sneak attacked her, and so she shares her powers with him, and he becomes a Shinigami, and he's able to fight off hollows. And so basically, the whole series is about his adventures as a Shinigami and how he fights hollows. He gets involved with like the Soul Society and the squads and fighting bigger enemies because it's not just the hollows, but there's people that control hollows, and there's like other factions out there that have their own powers and they do stuff, etc. And basically, the original manga, the original series, like the original anime series, even though the manga went as far as it needed to go, the original series it only went up to episode 366, which was missing, I think, like the last arc or two of the manga.
Yeah,
And so basically where this picks off is that it's adapting that last arc of the manga,
that's
which
pretty
basically
cool.
the last arc of the manga is the last like big enemy faction. And so it picks off where, we're following Ichigo and his friends once again, and they get involved. That it's pretty cool. This time the enemy faction is like more hardcore than ever. It's basically like a tribe that if you've watched the anime, you follow the manga, it's a tribe that they're not supposed to really exist anymore. Like one of Ichigo's friends is supposed to be like the last of those people, basically. And out of nowhere, these guys just show up and they start wreaking havoc and they start like killing people left and right. And they attack Soul Society directly. And that's why it's called the 1,000-Year Blood War, because basically they have beef with the Shinigami and they're here to like,
For
restart
a
that
thousand
war.
years.
Yeah, they're here to restart that war from like 1,000 years ago or whatever. And they're really hardcore and they're really cool. And they're all dressed like really interesting. They have like a weird gimmick where they're all kind of look like weird like military officers or whatever. And they have like these like really crazy powers where they seem like they absorb all of like the spirit energy and they use it. And like, I don't know,
Oh,
it's really
that sounds very cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool. And they're like really powerful. Like it's the most powerful group up to now. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. And so watching it it's cool being back in the world, seeing that they're fighting like an enemy that's stronger than ever, seeing that it's an enemy that they have beef with from like long ago, and seeing kind of like the history and the lore there is kind of cool. And it's pretty cool that the visuals obviously look way updated
Mm-hmm.
because back when this came out, and not that it looked bad, but think about like an anime from like the early like 2000s, what they used to look like then.
It was like hand drawn, or if it was digital, it looked like it was hand drawn still.
And now, obviously, think about like all like the new anime how it has like really crazy, like really good lighting, and like
Hmm.
if they incorporate CGI, it looks like really good. And so the visuals look really good. The story so far is pretty interesting, like I said, because it's like, okay, cool. It's kind of cool to see them back in this world, fighting this enemy that's super hardcore. This enemy that like takes no prisoners. Like they start killing people left and right. It's super crazy.
That's pretty cool.
And I thought it was cool that at least in a few of these episodes, like the first episode for sure, and then they kind of have leaned away from it, but I think they're gonna come back to it. Something I kind of hate about the original series is that near the end, it feels like only Ichigo is really getting any play, and even though his friends have all these like cool powers themselves, no one was really getting attention except Ichigo, which kind of sucked.
Oh, so
And
it
at
was an
least in
Ichigo
the
show.
yeah, and at least in the first episode, it was kind of cool that they literally introduced like there's these other people who are getting attacked, and Ichigo and his friends show up all badass, and literally has like a little like title drop for every one of the members, and they're all like showing off their powers, which is like really fun.
Oh, that's freaking badass.
And though even though right now, in episode 6, they have gone back to like kind of focusing more on just Ichigo and like the main captains and stuff, I
Yeah.
do think that, if the threat really is as big as it is, I'm hoping that his friends will be more involved.
Mm-hmm.
That remains to be
That's pretty cool.
seen. That remains to be seen because unfortunately, that is kind of what's sucky that it does eventually become, oh, just Ichigo, just Ichigo, just Ichigo. But I am hoping that his friends will have more of a part. That's what I'm really hoping.
Yeah, because we don't want it to just be the Ichigo show.
Yeah, 'cause it kind of sucks when they just do that, where it's just like, oh, it's just the main character. And even though his friends have cool powers, like, nah, they don't really show them. So we'll have to see. But at least
yeah.
at least the first episode was really fun. The way they introduced everybody all over again, and like I said, it looks like his friends are going to be involved. They're always kind of there. So I'm hoping going forward they'll have some cool fights. But it remains to be seen. It is a shonen anime. Sometimes they do get kind of they push
Repetitive.
characters to the side, but at least right now I'm enjoying it. And like I said, it's been pretty good so far. It's nice being back in that world and seeing Bleach just come back for that final arc. It's fun. So
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, bro.
yeah, yeah. Then the other thing I want to talk about, it's an anime that I watched as it was coming out like last season. I want to say it's last season, but because I saw the dub and I checked out the dub, because the dub, like last season was the original version. This season they're doing the dub. It's slowly coming out. And when I checked out the dub, I'm like, oh, let's check it out. Let's see how well they do. And I was watching it, and it kind of made me rewatch like a few of the first episodes again, but like the dub version this time. And I liked it. And that made me think, oh, since I just like rewatched the first few episodes of this anime, and it's one that I would have talked about if we were doing the podcast, but I didn't mention it before. I'm like, oh, I'll just mention it. That way maybe people can watch it since it's still fairly new. And I'm of course talking about a anime called Call of the Night. And Japanese, I think it's called Yufukashi no Uta.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just this really interesting anime. Where it's about this kid. I think his name is Ko. I do have the wiki page here just in case, I always have it. I like to mention people's names in case I forget. Yeah, his name is Ko. I think that's what they call him. And he's like this 14-year-old kid that I don't know, he's just like dissatisfied with his life. He got really bored of going to school. He feels like he's unmotivated, that sort of thing. And even though there's this girl that confessed to him, instead of feeling excited or being like, oh, this girl likes me, like, do I like her back or nothing? He feels kind of emotionless. He feels like he didn't really feel anything, like there was no spark or anything. And so he just feels like really like dissatisfied with his life. He's like, I don't really like school. I'm not really into girls, which is kind of funny because then someone asks him, so that means you're into boys? He's like, no, I'm not into boys either. I'm just like, I don't feel like anything for anyone, honestly. So he just feels like he's kind of like in a rut. Like he doesn't really know what he wants from his life. He's kind of like unfeeling and apathetic. And so what he does is he starts ditching school and he starts going out at night to like walk the streets and just kind of like be alone by himself. And one of these occasions that he's out, I think he's gonna buy a beer because he notices that, oh, look at this vending machine. I can buy beer, no one can stop me. And he's thinking of buying it. And this girl just shows up and starts like messing with him. And it's this girl with like pink hair. She has some kind of like little braids. And she has
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
her outfit's like super weird because it's like not lewd, but it's like kind of lewd. I don't know how to describe it. Because she wears short shorts. But then she has leggings. It's not like she's like showing too much off. And she has like, these huge boots. But then she has like this like top that totally shows all of her midriff. Do you know what I mean? So it's meant to be kind of like fan servicey, but like at the same time not like totally. I don't know. Point is,
don't worry, guys. She has no boobs.
This girl shows up and she starts messing with him, and basically she invites him back to like her apartment. And I don't know why, he just like goes with it. He goes to her apartment and she says like, oh, let's sleep. And she has like a futon on the bed. And he like kind of goes with it. I don't know why he really goes with it. He's kind of freaked out. He's kind of intrigued. I don't know. But the point is, he lays in the bed next to her and he pretends. I think it's she's saying that she's gonna help him sleep because she knows that he can't sleep or whatever. And so he's pretending he's asleep. And she bites his neck and starts sucking his blood and talking about how good his blood tastes. And he reveals that he's awake. And so she has to admit to him that, yeah, she's a vampire and that she loves his blood. Apparently, it's like really good. And so they kind of make this deal where he'll let her suck his blood if in exchange first their deal is like she'll like hang out with him and show him like the nightlife because he's bored. But then it becomes more of a, hey, I don't really like my life. Is there a way to like escape and become a vampire like you? And she goes like, yeah, if you can like fall in love with me, because that's the way the vampires work. Like if you fall in love with the vampire that's feeding off of you, you'll become a vampire too for some reason. That's just like the weird lore. Bruh. And so it becomes this thing about them getting closer, and his goal is to see if he can fall in love with her so he can become a vampire because he doesn't like his life. And obviously there's more twists and turns along the way. You meet more like people, other bigger characters that don't want to mess with the thing they have. The thing they have going on, like their little relationship, there's people that like they meet that kind of want to mess that up. There's people that are against him, even like hanging out with vampires, etc. But it's just like this really fun anime because it's just kind of cool to see like his bond with this like weird vampire girl. And it's kind of fun because they introduce his other characters like friends and strangers, and it kind of shows them as well how they kind of aren't really happy with their life and kind of how he kind of helps them out a little bit. And there's an episode where there's this office lady that she goes to the vampire girl's apartment, supposedly because the vampire girl, that's how she makes her living. Apparently she gives people massages. She has to make money somehow, right? To like live. She gives people massages and she's like feeling lazy. She's playing her like PlayStation and she tells him like, you give her a massage. And so he does like a really good job of it. But as he's doing massaging her, like the office lady breaks down and reveals that she's like really unhappy with like, her job, where she is in life, etc. And he like confesses to her that that he's wanting to become a vampire. And he's like, if I ever become a vampire, hey, if you're unhappy, maybe I can like turn you into a vampire too. And that kind of cheers her up, and he helps her feel better about herself and stuff. So it's interesting. It's just like, it's not like a great, I wouldn't say it's like a 10 out of 10 anime. It's more like an 8, maybe like a 7.5, but it's just a fun watch. And it's really cool to see like, how he bonds with this vampire and the different shenanigans they get up to and different people he helps out and stuff. So I like it. It was fun. And once again, it's called Call of the Wild. And those some pretty fun like memes and stuff that came out with it too. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Call of the Wild?
I'm sorry, Call of the Night.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, the book about the dog?
Yeah, what about the dog? What? Yeah, my bad. Call of the Night. Call of the Night.
All the
Yeah,
Night's based off of a name of a song, huh?
yeah, I believe it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what's kind of fun too. That there's this band that they provided the intro song, and they actually have like a little cameo in one of the episodes, which is pretty fun. It's like this
Because
like punk band or whatever.
that's one of the name of their song too, Call of the Night or something like that. And they're like, hey, like if you put the title, then put us in the anime too or something like that.
Yeah, I think the song they use as the intro though, it's called Creepy Nuts.
Creepy nuts.
Yeah,
Wow, my nuts are
it's
creepy.
really interesting. But yeah, like I said, it's only like it's 12 or 13 episodes. I think it's 13
Damn.
episodes. And yeah, it's just like really simple, really fun. It's like a nice like low stakes show, So I
Yeah.
liked it. I had fun with it. And it only came out last season. Yeah, it ran from like August to no, sorry, July to like August. Maybe like spilled into September, I'm not too sure. But yeah, it was from last season. So,
It
if you
was
want to
during the
watch that, there
summer,
you go.
yeah.
Call of the Night. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's basically it for my week. Basically, like I said, it was just catching up on old anime, watching Bleach was like the big one. Then I watched some of the dub of this one, which is pretty fun. And then played a little bit more Sonic Frontiers, but not like a lot. But mostly, I'm excited to play some more, as well as I know Pokemon comes out very soon. So I'm excited for Pokemon.
Oh yeah. Pokemon comes out soon.
So I'm excited for that. Alrighty, though, with that out of the way, though, I think that's basically it for our weeks. What I want to jump over to now is I wanted to do our news stories because I think, I have there's some interesting ones to talk about. I think I shared them with you earlier, if you remember.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God, they're gonna be crazy, guys.
Yeah, there's some pretty interesting ones. The first one's pretty simple, but then I guess we go, it gets a little, well, the second one's the really crazy one, actually. So,
Yeah.
all right. So the first news story I want to talk about is that Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Well, I'll just read the title of the
Yeah,
article, then
read
I'll
the
talk
title,
about
yeah.
it. Yeah, so it says Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, more than a remaster, trailer screenshots, and general FAQ. And basically, it's a pretty little interesting article where it says it's going to be more than a remaster, which I can kind of imagine because based on how Final Fantasy VII Remaster Remake added more stuff, obviously they went a different direction. I'm wondering if this remaster might also do some interesting stuff and may add more lore or something. I can see
It
that.
could.
And that might be what they're hinting at. But basically, yeah, if you read the article, it starts with talking about all the specs. So basically, if you're playing on an older system like the Switch or an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, well, actually, no, let's start from the bottom. The Switch is going to have the lowest resolution. It's only 1280 by 720 at 30 frames per second. Then if you have a newer system like an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, it'll be 1080 at 30 frames per second. And then if you have like a better system like a PS5, Xbox Series S, or a Xbox One X, then that's where you get like the higher resolutions and better frame rate.
Yeah.
And then obviously, if you have PC because it is coming out on Steam, that's where you can go as crazy as like your computer.
You break it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it's kind of just, I mean, it's fine since it did used to be a handheld game, which is like what, like 240p or whatever. Even on Switch, being able to play 720 at 30 frames, still better than the original.
It could be a big upgrade, yeah.
But it still does kind of suck that it's so all over the place. And like, for instance, if I wanted to play the Xbox Series S version, since I have one, it would be 1080, 60 frames. So it kind of sucks that I can't do the 4K. You can only really do 4K if you hit like PlayStation 5 levels, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. Like I said, since it used to be a PSP title, I guess it's pretty good. But
it can only do so much.
yeah, I do kind of wonder why it's all over the place, though. Each system has its different frames and resolutions, which is kind of weird. It's not really like a base thing.
It's like them Wii ports, bruh. It's like them Wii ports where they make a whole different game. Okay.
That's funny. And then they have a little bit of FAQ where they're actually asking about this if there was like trouble, remaking it and putting on some of its platforms, blah blah blah. All these questions about how they like ported it up and stuff. A lot of technical stuff. And then let's see. I think there was one question I did want to point out. No, there's not. Never mind. No, they're all technical stuff. I might be thinking of a different interview. But yeah, so basically it gives you all the stats. Then it's a bunch of FAQ about how they ported it and the process and how hard it was, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, it talks about how it comes out on December 13, which is awesome. I'm super excited for that. That is not that far off. It's about a month. And then, of course, if you watch the trailer, it also includes some screenshots and the trailer both in English and Japanese. And I don't know, it just looks really good. I'm just really excited. I love Crisis Core. Not only do I think it's like a really good PSP game, because it's one of those things where it's like, what do I play on this PSP? Is there anything good to play on it? I love being able to point at Crisis Core and saying, that's a good game. It's really fun. But not only that, but just like, I don't know, man. Zach is one of like my favorite like characters ever. Like he's just such a good protagonist because like he wants to be a hero, and as you go through his journey, it's crazy how he really does become this great hero, fighting, like man, he has to fight people that, well, without spoiling it, he fights a bunch of people he never thought he'd have to fight. Like the journey he goes on is crazy. What he does for Cloud is like really crazy. Spoilers, of course, because if you played Final Fantasy VII, he dies, but the way he dies is so super interesting. And I don't know, he's just such a tragic character, but he's so cool. And he's just such a good hero character. He's such a good protagonist. And I don't know, man. I just think it's really cool that being able to play that game again, like on new software and stuff. I'm just like really looking forward to that because I've always really, really liked Zach. And I think being able to return to that game, I'm just hoping more people play it in preparation for May 7 remake or whatever, because Zach is just so cool, man. I love Zach.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this game since it was announced like in January of this year. I've been really like hyped to actually play this. Well, I'm gonna say remake, basically this remake of Crisis Core because I've never played the original.
It says remaster, but then it says it's more than a remaster.
No, and then the graphics and everything are too like it looks like it's a completely different engine.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I'm like, it's a remake for me. Like it's a remake.
It basically almost is, right? It basically almost is, honestly.
So yeah, I'm
if you've never played it before, I hope you play it because I would even say go play the PSP version. But with this one being so close. Yeah,
I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait for it.
Yeah, I hope you play because it's such a good game and it's just so interesting. Like I said, seeing Zach's journey and everything he goes through, and man, like I say, he's just such a tragic character, and I feel like he's so underrated. A lot of people don't really know about him. I feel like he usually gets over. Like I understand why Cloud is the main. Like I understand why Cloud is such a big character, and I understand why he takes most of the spotlight when it comes to like the 7 series. But Zach is still just so cool, though. I want more people to know about Zach. He's just such a cool character.
Yeah, because I mean, I get it. It's because like Cloud is the character that is introduced from the start, but Zach is kind of like I don't know, like he's basically like the he would just basically be like a parallel to like Cloud in a way.
And yeah, so, like, he's the one who basically like Cloud wouldn't really exist if it wasn't for Zach.
He kind of inspires.
He's the one who inspired Cloud to become the hero that Cloud becomes later too. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I really want to replay it. The only thing I'm not really looking forward to is I think they changed the main voice actor. And I remember what I had heard, he didn't sound that great. I will see if I get used to it, because I really like the guy who used to do the voice of Zach. I forget his name right now, but I really used to like that voice actor. And let's see if they're using a new one, which I'm really looking forward to. But I mean, hopefully I get used to it. Hopefully his performance isn't as bad as I think it is. That's like the one
issue.
Yeah, the one issue. But besides that, I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, it comes out December 13. I think it hits all systems on the same time too, so that's pretty fun.
It says I think I found the article. Crisis Core. Reunion is due out for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam on December 13th. Yeah.
It's all systems. So no matter what you want to play it on, you don't have to wait. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. And then moving on to our second news story. This is the one I was saying that it's really crazy. Like, man. It's just like, how does this happen, man? I mean, some people joke that they're like, Sonic Frontiers did good, and then this just like led to this man's downfall, I guess. I don't know. I'll just read the article so you guys will see what I'm talking about. So it says Yuji Naka arrested in Dragon Quest Tact insider trading scandal. So for anyone who doesn't know, we've mentioned it before, but they might not be too common to everybody. Yuji Naka is the original creator of Sonic. He's the
Hmm.
one who basically he's credited with creating Sonic. He's the one who like directed those first few games or whatever. And he's the one that recently, after he split from Sega, he went to Square Enix and he made Balan Wonder
World.
World, which is a total disaster.
It was
And
horrendous.
now he apparently got in trouble for insider trading. And insider trading is basically where you purposely like buy stock and then like, you know when to sell it because you have like information you're not supposed to have, basically. Like that's what I understand. It's like when you mess with the stock market. Like if you know some details you're not supposed to, like for instance, like let's
Yeah, like you,
say,
you know how to like actually mess around with the finances and whatnot.
yeah, like let's say you know that a company that you represent, for instance, let's say you're like a lawyer,
Yeah.
and you know that the company you represent is about to go bankrupt. You're not supposed to then be buying stock and purposely selling it before they go bankrupt because that means that you have knowledge like that's like insider knowledge. It's called insider trading. Like that's illegal because you're purposely using information to like, manipulate the stock market basically. And so he did something that involved that. I think it talks about it here. But it said, yeah, it said Naka is said to have purchased 2.8 million yen in aiming shares ahead of game's announcement. So let's see where it talks about that. Yeah, so it says here there's a game called Dragon Quest Tact. I don't even know what that is.
It's a
Uh,
mobile
but
game.
but yeah, I guess it makes sense to mobile game, right? Mobile games are always the ones that like are making
Yeah,
all
they're
sorts of
making big
crazy
bag.
like yeah, because of microtransaction stuff. But yeah, basically there's this mobile game called Dragon Quest Tact. And it says right here that January 2020, he was collaborating with a developer called 𝐴𝐵𝐴. That's what it said 𝐴𝐵𝐴 earlier. So this developer called 𝐴𝐵𝐴, they're developing Dragon Quest Tact. Since he was working with them, he knew what was up. So it says he allegedly purchased about 10,000 shares of 𝐴𝐵𝐴 for approximately 2.8 million yen before the title was announced, suspecting that the company's stock price would rise after the announcement. So yeah,
Wow.
this man, like he just cannot stay out of trouble. Like not only did he like get like done like after he left Sega, not only did he go to like Square Enix and like totally tank there doing Balan Wonder World, but then now he's in trouble because of like freaking insider trading stuff. I think he it said he was arrested, I believe. So this is like
Hmm.
really serious. He might even go to jail. And
Good.
like,
Okay.
I don't know, man. People were like joking. They're like, Sonic does good, and this man just went crazy. I don't know. It's just funny, but
Yeah.
it's just like
Um.
Yuji Naka, man. Like, are you serious, dude? Like, you just
Yo,
can't stay out of trouble.
I've always heard that he's been a scumbag.
Yeah, it's not surprising that he's trying to manipulate the stock market or whatever. Because I've
Hmm.
heard that a lot of people kind of like think fondly of him because he made Sonic and he made some of those other like Sega titles
And he was
and
nice during interviews and like.
yeah, so it would be like the way people may look at like Miyamoto, for instance. You're like,
Hmm.
oh, he's like this fun man that makes like fun games. But then yeah, I've heard so much things about him that there's like this like pretty popular story that when he went and there was like a team. I don't remember what team he was working on, but he was working with some sort of team that was making something.
It was Sonic Extreme.
Yeah. No, but they weren't making Sonic Extreme though, because the whole point is they were making something and he was helping them. And he thought they didn't know
Okay.
Japanese, remember? You know what I'm
Okay,
talking about
yeah,
now?
now I know.
And he
Yeah.
was like basically like say he thought they didn't talk Japanese, and so he was basically just talking like trash about them the whole time and being like all these ideas that they have. Uh, let's fire everybody and keep their ideas so we can use it for our next Sonic game, which I think would have been Sonic Extreme.
No, yeah. No, it was a US part of Sega that was helping them make Sonic Extreme. Now I remember. And then this dude was stealing it, where he was like, "Oh, these guys, they don't know how to speak Japanese. Blah blah blah. We'll just grab these ideas
And
and
like
like fix
fire
them up,
them
and
and
yeah,
whatever,
fire them and
right?
fix it up a bit." And that's the thing where
Like
that's
they
kind of what
did.
led to its
What he didn't
downfall.
know is that they did know Japanese.
And that's what kind of led to its downfall as well.
Yeah, and so yeah, they think he's kind of a scumbag with how he like deals with people. Because that was one of the things that he did, where he was being like a scumbag, and he was like purposely gonna like steal their stuff and fire them and all this stuff. And then
Hmm.
recently with the whole Balan Wonder World thing, there was another thing where like whoever like helped him make it, like there was a picture where he like crossed the guy's like face out, and he was like blaming everything on him and saying that like, oh, they ruined my vision and a bunch of stuff.
Bruh.
But then there's people saying like no, like he kind of messed it up himself, honestly, and
Of course he messed it up himself.
like there was like a whole thing. You'd have to like look into it, but
Hmm.
basically there's just like some bad stories that he's hard to work with, and he's kind of
And then
a
he'll even
scumbag,
yell
you
at
know.
like the people and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. He got arrested for insider training, and it looks like it's a big deal because 2.8 million yen. I
That's a
think that would
lot.
be like 200,000 like dollars,
Dollars.
right? I think you
Hmm.
take a zero off or something.
Yeah.
So that's not it's a pretty big deal, you know. We're gonna have to see what happens because they might take that seriously over there. I don't know how serious they take like blue collar crimes compared to some other stuff, but if they take it seriously, he's gonna get in trouble. So
You'd be like,
yeah,
Sonic did it.
Sonic did it. Oh gosh.
He's like,
All
my
right.
my my co-creation has betrayed me.
Oh god. All right. And finally, the last story I want to talk about is that, as the title of the article says, the Game Awards 2022 nominees announced. Sony Interactive Entertainment Games lead nominations. So every year, I like to watch the Game Awards show. I know a lot of people are really cynical and they're like, oh, they're just commercials for games. It's just a big circle jerk for people.
Oh my God, I've heard that. Yeah.
Anyway, I get it because they're not wrong. A big part of it is
Mhm.
true. Every awards show is going to be kind of a bit of a circle jerk because obviously it's what's the most popular, or it's who like talks the loudest and has influence, and they're all congratulating themselves for what they did, right? That
Yeah.
is true. It's not like they're going to cover every little indie game or give respect to everybody. That's true. But I just think like you don't have to be that cynical, man. Like as long as there's a game that you enjoy and it's gained some attention out there, and they show some trailers that are fun to look at, like that with me is fine. Like why be so cynical,
Hmm.
dude? Like, is an awards show gonna be a circle jerk? Of course it is, Like right now, if I'm in an awards show about the games I like, obviously it's gonna be a bit of a circle jerk because it's gonna be my opinion of what I like. Obviously, it's not like it's gonna be perfect. It's gonna include every game everybody likes, or it's gonna take into account like every type of game.
Or it can be like
If
a
I,
game that isn't good for other people or something.
Yeah,
Like,
but that doesn't mean it can't be fun to see, like, oh, it's kind of fun that this game got attention and this game got attention, and it's kind of nice to see this game get celebrated, and you know what I mean? Like that's what I think. And like I said, I love the trailers. I think the trailers they've had some fun ones before where it's like, I'm glad they showed that off or whatever. I just think they're fun. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, like last year's trailers were super cool.
Yeah, there's been some pretty good ones, been some
Hmm.
good moments. But anyway, trying to get away from that. The point is,
Yeah.
the Game Awards show's coming up. It always comes out in December, and since we're like about a month away, they announced the nominees for different categories. And I'm not going to go over all of them, but it says that you can, of course, go and vote for your stuff. And I'll mention some of them, for instance. So, for instance, when it comes to Game of the Year, the list is A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So I'd say it's a pretty good list. It has some big titles like God of War and Horizon. It has kind of more indie-ish stuff with a Plague Tale and Stray. And then it has a
Mhm.
Nintendo title, which, Xenoblade
Those
Chronicles
those
3
were
being
like
like an
the biggest
RPG.
games
That's
this
pretty
year
good.
too.
What's up?
Those were like the pretty big games of this year too.
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty good list, you know what I mean?
They're a pretty good list, yeah.
Yeah, and then for let's see, best game direction, where that's right, I do gotta admit, like if the game has the best direction, then doesn't that make it the best game overall? But it's one of those whatever. Best game direction, once again, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, for Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Immortality, which I don't even know what Immortality is, but that's up for. And then what's another good one? Let's see. Oh, best
Best,
performance.
yeah, I was gonna say that.
Ashley Birch for Horizon Forbidden West, Charlotte McBurney for A Plague Tale Requiem, Christopher Judge for God of War Ragnarok, Manon Gage for Immortality, or Sunny Suljic for God of War Ragnarok. So God of War Ragnarok has two, one for Kratos and one for Atreus. That's kind of cool.
Hmm.
Let's see, what's another one? Best indie, for instance, Cult of the Lamb, Neon White, Sifu, Stray, or
And Tunic.
Tunic. Those are all pretty good games. I would like to see any of those win, honestly.
For Endies, those are a pretty good list.
Yeah, all of those are pretty fun. I've played almost all of those except for Neon White.
White, I mean.
I haven't played Neon White, but those are all pretty good lists from what I've seen. Even of Neon White, it looks like a good game, so that's pretty cool.
That's a pretty good list, yeah.
And then let's see,
Raid Shadow Legends.
I want to go to the best family because they're almost always like all Nintendo games. Let's see, best family: Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which is Nintendo. Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, which interestingly enough is not Nintendo, it's WB Games. Mario and Rabbids Spark of Hope, which is Ubisoft, but that's still Nintendo-ish. Nintendo Switch Sports, which is Nintendo, and Splatoon 3, which is Nintendo.
Wow.
Out of those, Wii Switch Sports definitely would not like to see that one win. I would kind of like to see Kirby win. That'd be nice for it to win
want to see Kirby
best
win,
family.
yeah.
I'd like to see Kirby win. That'd be pretty fun.
Just be like, save the world.
Let's look at one more. Let's look at best multiplayer. There's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Multiverses, Overwatch 2, Splatoon 3, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I hope Overwatch 2 doesn't get it. Overwatch is just silly, where it's like the same game basically with the code paint.
I heard that.
I don't know. What would be the good? I haven't played enough of these to really like judge it. It'd be interesting to see Ninja Turtles win because I think that would just be such a weird out of nowhere.
But honestly, I feel like Ninja Turtles would make sense though. I don't know why, but I feel like it would make sense.
I feel like that would probably be like the underdog, but you know. Oh, and actually one more because this is actually pretty interesting. Actually two more because I saw the list was longer than I thought. The list is really long. If you guys want to see it, look for it yourselves. But the two that I want to talk about that I just noticed are near the bottom. So this is kind of fun. Best adaptation. So it says for adapting a video game to another medium. So there's Arcane League of Legends, because you know how they made like that anime like series or whatever. There's Cyberpunk Edge Runner,
another anime series, yeah.
The Cuphead show.
Oh yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Uncharted the movie.
Those are good.
That's pretty. Out of these, Uncharted is the weakest.
Uncharted is the weakest.
And probably Sonic probably isn't that. Sonic is fun. I would say it's probably not that strong either. I would say it's between like the first three, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, Sonic 2, like it's a good
it's a fun movie, but I wouldn't say
it's not the best adaptation of like the game, the second and third game.
Yeah, so I think it's between the first three. Because those are all pretty good. Like even Cuphead is like a really fun cartoon version of like that world, you know? Alrighty, the last one I want to mention. This is always kind of a fun one. The most anticipated game. So there's Final Fantasy 16, Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4. They're talking about the remake, of course. Starfield, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Let's go.
So yeah.
The Legend of Jonathan's in the house.
Those are definitely all very, very anticipated. I can see Zelda winning though, because I can see Zelda winning. It's just been announced so far back. I think that's what. If it wasn't for Zelda, I think it would maybe be a little more difficult. But it's just Zelda's been announced since so long. I think it's just had so much time to build up. Yeah, so I think Zelda could easily win that probably.
Yeah, dude.
But there you go, guys. Like I said, there's just so much stuff on here. We didn't cover everything. But yeah, if you're interested, you can look the thing up for yourself. That I know of, it says you can actually go and vote for whatever you want until December 7th. And then, of course, the Game Awards will be on December 8th, which December 8th, let me check my calendar real quick. That should be, what day of the week is that? That is Thursday. Huh, interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it's going to be a Thursday. So, yeah, maybe if we could, we're definitely going to talk about it on the podcast for sure, like some of the bigger stuff. But maybe I could even, I'm going to try on my channel. I might even make a video about some of the stuff as well, maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, pretty cool.
I remember I streamed last year's, actually.
Oh, did you?
But then I stopped when Sonic 2 showed up and I like stopped it.
Oh, like, that's the only thing you cared about. I remember that.
Yeah,
That's
and
funny.
then when like
I
that
remember
showed up, I
that.
was like, "Oh my god!" And I like ended it like 5 seconds after.
I remember that was funny. Oh my god. Alrighty, guys, that is it for the news. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully, that gives you some insight into stuff that's happening, give you guys some stuff to look forward to, etc. And now, of course, we want to go to our last segment, which
Let's
is that this
go.
time we have a very specific topic we want to talk about. And it's something that Legend of Jonathan kind of alluded to earlier. That's something that he caught up watching. So,
Hmm.
what we want to talk about today is a little anime called Aggretsuko, aka Aggressive Retsuko.
Let's go.
And for anyone who doesn't know, it's this really interesting anime that it's made by the people who made Hello
Oh,
Kitty,
yeah.
Sanria, and it's just this really really fun anime. Like I've wanted to talk about it before. I think I did talk about it before on like an old channel. Legend John, did you say you did like a review of like some of the seasons or something?
It was the first two, yeah.
Oh man, but it's just such a really really fun show.
It
Basically to give
really
you guys kind of
is.
like an overview of what it's about. Basically, the premise is I have the Wikipedia page here once again, so I can kind of read it. So the point is, there's this 25-year-old anthropomorphic red panda, because in that world, everybody's like a little animal. So
Hmm.
there's this anthropomorphic red panda who's 25 years old, and her name is Retsuko.
Let's go.
And basically, her deal is that she's single, she works the job that she doesn't really like, and she kind of is stuck in life. She doesn't really know what she wants. Like, she is frustrated with her job. She's frustrated with having to go to work every day for a job she doesn't like. She is frustrated with being single. She wishes she could get married. Sometimes it's kind of funny. She wishes she could get married and basically just like marry someone who's rich so she never has to work again, which is kind of funny. And I don't know, it's just about her kind of dealing with her life and dealing with feeling stuck and feeling with like that feeling of like you're at an age where you feel like you've like kind of like, have I missed my opportunity to be happy? Am I going to be stuck in this job forever? Did I miss my like chance at like love, that sort of thing? And it's just like her dealing with that stuff. And then what makes it really interesting that not only does it deal with like, these kind of like adult themes, you know, like very, very down to earth stuff, but the reason it's called Aggressive Retsuko is because basically she's been at this job for like 5 years,
So
and
she gets stressed.
every day to de-stress, she goes to do karaoke where she's like does like death metal, and that's like how she vents. And it's just really funny to see this little cute red panda just start like screeching death metal
And
and letting all her emotions out and
she
stuff.
transforms, yeah.
Yeah, she transforms. She looks all like evil, and there's like she has like a deep voice and all that stuff. And so it's just so fun to see this little Hello Kitty looking character go from looking all meek and quiet and like cute to just being like over the top and screeching death metal and looking all violent and stuff. And that's how she like de-stresses. And it's funny because that's how she lets out her anger, but she doesn't want anybody to know because she's embarrassed with it. And
Yeah.
yeah, basically it's just this really fun anime series that first they had 100 episodes. It was like each was like 5 minutes. And it
Hmm.
was like a series of 100 episodes, each was like 5 minutes, something like that. And it was just like, you know, covering different little things in her life. Like, oh, in this episode, she goes through yoga. In this episode, this happens at work. In this episode, this other thing happens, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Then recently, the one we're talking about that there's 4 seasons and a holiday special is that they made an original anime for Netflix that basically each season has had like 40, I'm sorry, I think it has 40 episodes overall. Each season has had like 10 episodes, and
Hmm.
basically it's different little arcs in her life. So the first arc, once again, is where you get introduced to her. It shows that she loves to do death metal, but she's embarrassed to like let everybody know. That's how she vents. And basically, the first season is all about her talking about how she's not like really happy with her life, that she wishes she could maybe like get married to escape having to work. And it shows her interacting with like her boss, who's like literally a pig, and he's like always really mean to her. He bullies her. She has like a friend that's a fennec fox that like always has this sarcastic laugh, and is
She's like
always
monotone. She's like monotone.
yeah, she's always like really gossipy. For instance, there's this deer that's like a total suck up, and she's like always flirting with all like the male workers, and like she's all about like Instagram and being an influencer. She has a friend. His name's Haida, voiced by Ben Diskin.
Oh my god,
Ben Diskin's
freaking
awesome.
young Xehanort, bruh.
Yeah, young Xehanort, as well as
Number 1 and 2 from.
and he was also Joseph Joestar in
Mhm.
JoJo, and he also was Eric Sparrow in Tony Hawk's Underground. So if
Yeah.
you ever played Tony Hawk's Underground, that scumbag Eric Sparrow, he voices him, which is so funny. But anyway, going back to it, she has this coworker named Haida who's a hyena, and he has a crush on her. So some of the episodes are about how she is talking about she wants to be in a relationship and get married and all this stuff. And there's this guy who's like totally like head over heels for her. But he's too like embarrassed to like he's too nervous to confess to her. So like there's some like humor and stuff from that. But yeah, basically every season has a different little arc. The first one, like I said, is basically the introduction. We learn about how she's unhappy with her life, and we see that she tries to get to a relationship to be happy. And we kind of see what happens, with that. And her realizing, does being in a relationship make you happy? Should you kind of like make yourself blind because you want to, I guess, just you want your life to be better? Should you just like be blind to what's actually happening around you? I guess, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Then season 2, honestly, the second season is probably my least favorite. It's basically a beat for beat the same as the first season.
Except they just like add something else and that's it.
Yeah. And the third season's pretty fun. Without spoiling it, she joins a idol group. That's all I'll say. She joins an idol group, and we see more of the characters, obviously, more progression. That's really fun. And the fourth season is the one that's the most unique.
Oh yeah.
Basically, instead of focusing on her, it kind of focuses on some of the other characters. So
It
that's
focuses
always
on everyone basically. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, instead of it being just her, it focuses like a lot on Haida. It focuses a lot on the boss. It focuses a lot on one of her coworkers. It's a hippo, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I said, it's just a really fun series, and it's the kind of thing where if you're like a working adult, somewhere in your like mid 20s to like early 30s, you maybe even older than that, maybe even younger, but that's I would say like if you're around that age, I think it's the kind of anime that'll really hit close to home. Because if you've ever felt like you're doing a job you don't really like, and you kind of feel stuck in life, you're not really sure, like you feel directionless, and like I say, you feel kind of hopeless in love and stuff, you're not really sure where you stand with that. I think you can really relate to it. And so it's so funny that even though it's like really cartoony and it's very like like it has like kind of silly sometimes the designs and stuff, it deals with some very adult themes. It's very down to earth. It's very relatable, and I don't really know what else to say. Like, what else would you say about it? Like, I recommend it. I think it's awesome.
I love it. I've been watching the anime since like 2019. That's when I started watching it. So yeah, that's when the second season had barely came out. Yeah, like he said, I recommend it a lot. Honestly, like I recommend it to all ages. All ages is because like I get it. Yeah, it has like the adult theme stuff, but there are some stuff where you can relate to it, especially if you're a teenager, like the whole dating thing, for example. Sometimes, let's be honest, schoolwork can be pretty stressful. And if you actually do have a job, yeah, same thing. It's pretty stressful as well. So you can relate to that. Then I'll admit, like Retsuko, she feels like she's kind of immature, like the way she acts is like a teenager. So like I guess I can like kind of see when I'm watching, I'm like, wow, that kind of reminds me of me and how I act. So like, I can kind of like feel it too. So that's what I'm saying. Like maybe you might watch it and be like, wow, I can relate to this character because I feel like I've been in this situation before and I've asked people for advice. And so that's what I'm saying. Like I just recommend it as well too. Like it's a really good anime.
Yeah, and then not only is it Retsuko like a really fun character, but like I said, she has like all sorts of especially as the series progresses, the cast around her is really interesting too. Like whether it's whether it's Haida, you kind of see that, at first he seems kind of one dimensional, he's kind of just like a simp for her. But you kind of see that he has his own thing going on. Like he has a lot of lack of confidence, and he has his reasons that he feels that he's not good enough to talk to her, for instance.
He gave his reasons.
Yeah, and then when you look at her boss, the pig, he looks at first same thing where he's just kind of a jerk. He's just kind of like a bit of a sexist, and he's kind of like old school. But you see that, even despite all this, he does still like care about his workers, and he has more going on. He's a little deeper than you think. Honestly, it's very surprising, not to spoil it, but look for when she's having issues and look when she talks to him. There's some good moments there when he talks to her when she's having some issues, for instance.
It's really good, yeah.
Yeah, and then when you look at like other characters, you know, they're all really fun. They all have stuff going on. So it's not just fun to watch it for her and her like, you know, death metal screaming and like that sort of stuff, but it's fun because of the other characters too. Like she has a good supporting cast, you know.
Yeah, and then everyone gets along really well. Like the way the characters connect, even if like like one character's causing problems, they connect very well too.
It's really cool, like how it shows everyone has these, you know, pretty like, you know, interesting relationships, and the way they all relate to each other and stuff is pretty cool. Exactly,
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I recommend it. I think it's really good. Once again, it's on Netflix. You can watch all 4 seasons and the holiday special. And I believe that there's a 5th season coming up soon as well. I think like it's supposed to be coming. I think early next year is what
It's
I saw somewhere.
it's like February if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it said somewhere like around February of like next year. So definitely a good time to maybe catch up before the new season comes out. And like I said, it's just really good. It's very relatable, really fun. And even though it deals with like adult themes, I don't mean like lewd or like very like heavy stuff. I
They
just
mean
mean
more
like stuff
like jobs and stuff.
yeah, I mean like stuff you can relate to as an adult. But as Angela Johnson said, it's not just for adults. I think, you know, anyone of all ages can watch it and probably have fun with it. So alrighty, guys. So that is our that was our topic for this week. As you can see, that's the kind of thing we want to do. Same as last week, where we just sometimes want to sit down and say, "Hey, play this game or watch this anime." That way, we can expose you to more content, and hopefully, you guys, you know, if you're wondering what to watch, you're wondering what to like look at next, what to play next, whatever. Hopefully, that gives you ideas. You know, something to add to your list. So
yeah. If you guys don't watch it though, I'm coming to your house. Oh god.
I will come to your house and I will
Make
turn
you
up your
watch it.
speakers. No, I'll turn up your speakers and I'll death metal yell at you until you watch it.
Yeah.
Shatter all your glass and stuff, you know?
Wah!
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Alrighty, guys, but that is it for this episode. This one went a little bit longer, honestly.
Oh yeah.
By a bit, you know, but that's fine. We want to keep it at a certain time frame, which I think we're doing pretty good. Yeah. But there you go. There you have it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you need to do. As I mentioned earlier, at some point, feel free to try to look it up wherever podcasts are at. I know for sure it is on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Feel free to download it there if you feel like it. And yeah, that's basically it. We'll try to be back next week. Something I'm looking forward to, for instance, is Pokemon. So hopefully we'll be able to talk about Pokemon by next week. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
And with that being said, this has been weebrabbit and
The Legend of Jonathan.
we'll see you guys next time, all right? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.